I protected my children from the truth about their mother for 20 years. Now they refuse to forgive me. I, 52M, never thought I'd be sharing this story, but recent events have forced my hand. For 20 years, I've carried a secret that's eaten away at me, trying to protect my children from a truth I thought would hurt them more than help them. Now I'm not so sure I made the right choice. It started back when my kids were just 8 and 6. Their mother and I had what everyone thought was the perfect marriage. Good jobs, nice house in the suburbs, yearly family vacations, the whole American dream package. But behind closed doors, things were falling apart faster than I could patch them up. I first noticed something was wrong when money started disappearing from our joint account. Small amounts at first, 100 here, 200 there. I thought it was a banking error until I saw larger withdrawals. $1,000, $2,000, sometimes $5,000 at a time. When I confronted my wife, she always had explanations ready. Home repairs, school expenses for the kids, helping out her sister. I wanted to believe her. Then the credit card statements started arriving. Multiple new cards I knew nothing about, all maxed out. Hidden bank statements showed loans I'd never signed for. The more I dug, the worse it got. Casino visits during her lunch breaks. Online gambling sites open on her laptop when she thought I was asleep. She'd lost over $200,000 in less than 2 years. I remember the night I found her sobbing in our bathroom, surrounded by past due notices and loan statements. She promised to get help, swore she could stop if I just gave her one more chance. I believed her because I wanted to, because I remembered the woman I'd fallen in love with, the one who used to budget every penny and clip coupons for our grocery shopping. We tried everything. Marriage counseling turned into addiction counseling. I took control of the finances, closed joint accounts, put blocks on her credit. For 3 months, things seemed better. She attended Gamblers Anonymous meetings, started therapy, and was actually present with the kids again. I started to hope we'd turned a corner. Then one day, I got a call from our bank about suspicious activity. She'd opened new accounts using my social security number, taken out payday loans in my name. The woman I trusted, the mother of my children, had stolen my identity to feed her addiction. But that wasn't even the worst part. The final straw came when I discovered she'd taken out a second mortgage on our house without my knowledge, forged my signature and everything. We were on the verge of losing everything. What killed me most was finding out she'd been stealing from our kids' college funds. Money from their grandparents, birthday savings, all of it gone to online poker sites and casino slots. The divorce was ugly. She fought for custody, claiming I was controlling and financially abusive because I'd restricted her access to money. Her family, except for her sister, backed her up. They didn't know or didn't want to know the truth. I had to lay out every credit card statement, every forged document, every empty account in court. In the end, I got primary custody, but the judge still granted her visitation rights. I told the kids' mom needed to get better and would be away for a while. They were young enough to accept this, though I know it hurt them deeply. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, rebuilt our lives piece by piece, and did everything I could to give them a stable childhood. My parents helped watch the kids when I had to work late. We moved to a smaller house, changed schools, started over. Their mother would pop in and out of their lives, always with grand promises and elaborate excuses for her absences. She'd show up with expensive gifts she couldn't afford, promise trips to Disneyland that never happened, swear she was moving closer next month. Every time she disappeared again, my kids would be devastated. My daughter would cry herself to sleep. My son became withdrawn and angry. I never told them the real reason, thinking I was protecting them from a painful truth. I wanted them to have at least some relationship with their mother, even if it wasn't perfect. When they'd ask why mom couldn't live with us, I'd say she was working on herself. When they'd ask why she missed another birthday, I'd make excuses about her having to work. I became expert at gentle lies, at softening harsh truths. As they got older, the questions got harder. In high school, my daughter started acting out, skipping classes, dating older guys. My son threw himself into sports, pushing himself to exhaustion like he was punishing himself. They both went to therapy, but without knowing the root cause of their family trauma, they struggled to process their feelings. There were close calls over the years. Once, their mother showed up at a school football game, clearly high on something, making a scene about how I'd turned her babies against her. Another time, she convinced my daughter, then 16, to give her access to her summer job savings account. Nearly $3,000 gone in one weekend. I covered the loss, told my daughter it was a bank error, and added another lie to my growing pile. Last week, everything changed. My former sister-in-law came to visit. She's always disagreed with my decision to hide the truth, and after seeing my ex-wife's latest relapse, she decided enough was enough. She sat down with my kids, now 28 and 26, and told them everything. The fallout has been intense. My daughter won't speak to me, saying I robbed her of the chance to understand her childhood and her mother's behavior. She says every relationship issue she's had, every trust problem, every fear of abandonment makes sense now. But she's furious she had to wait until 28 to understand why. My son is more understanding, but says he feels betrayed that I kept this from them for so long. They're both angry that they spent years blaming themselves for their mother's inconsistent presence in their lives. My sister-in-law says they needed to know to break the cycle. Apparently, gambling addiction runs in their mother's family, and she thought they deserved to know their genetic predisposition. She says I was wrong to infantilize them by hiding the truth all these years. She told them about their grandmother's gambling problems, about how their mother started small with lottery tickets and bingo nights, how the addiction gradually took over everything. The hardest part is seeing them revisit every memory, every disappointment, every broken promise with new understanding. My daughter called me last night, crying, asking if the Christmas when her mother promised to come but didn't show up was because she was at a casino. It was. The time she missed my son's state championship game? Casino. The reason she lived in 5 different cities in 2 years? Running from gambling debts. They're angry at her, but they're angrier at me. They say I had no right to decide what truth they could handle. My son pointed out that he's been working in finance for 3 years. How many red flags did I think he needed to see before he could handle knowing about addiction? My daughter says she spent years in therapy trying to fix herself when she should have been dealing with the real issue. Their mother still doesn't know they know the truth. She called yesterday asking to borrow money, like she always does. For the first time, my kids understand why I always say no. But understanding doesn't make any of this easier. They're having to process 20 years of rewritten history, and I'm left wondering if my biggest mistake wasn't the lie itself, but believing that love meant protecting them from the truth. Now I'm watching my children grapple with this revelation, and I can't help but question every decision I made. Was I really protecting them, or was I protecting myself from having difficult conversations? Did I underestimate their resilience, their right to understand their own story? 20 years of what I thought was shielding them might have just been 20 years of making them doubt their own reality. I keep thinking about all the therapy sessions they sat through, trying to understand why they felt abandoned, why they struggled with trust, why their mother's behavior never made sense. I could have given them answers. Instead, I gave them more questions. I thought I was giving them a chance at a relationship with their mother, but maybe I was just helping her hide from the consequences of her actions. The truth is out now, and I can't put it back in the box. All I can do is be here for them as they process it, answer their questions honestly, and hope that someday they'll understand that even if I made the wrong choice, I made it out of love. But love, I'm learning, sometimes means letting your children face hard truths instead of trying to protect them forever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.